I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Village Board on June 11th at 7 p.m. And we'll start with a roll call.
Trustee Aiello. Trustee Cazone.
Here.
Trustee Case.
Here.
Trustee Tucker.
Here.
Trustee Wagner.
Here.
Trustee Silella.
Here.
President Bolthus.
Here, well, please rise for the pledge and remain standing for a short prayer after that. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for Trustee Wagner and has a prayer for us.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that might affect the residents, staff, businesses, surrounding communities, and all those that enter the village of Villa Park. And continue to remind us that all we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is public comments on agenda items. Anything from item number 5 through 18. Clerk Kornacki, do we have anybody signed up?
I have no one signed up before the meeting, no.
Okay, do we have anybody? This is your chance on an agenda item. Seeing none, we'll move on to number 4, amendments to the agenda. Do we have any amendments to the agenda from the board? Seeing none, we'll move down to item number 5, the presentation of the Junior Women's Club Scholarship Award. So, the Junior Women's Club representatives are here. Please introduce yourselves for the people at home, and it's all yours.
Hi, my name is Jen Kirschbaum. I am the Vice President and Scholarship Chair for the Villa Park Junior Women's Club.
Hi, I'm Bailey McMurray. I'm the President of the Villa Park Junior Women's Club.
Thank you for having us here today to present our scholarships to 2 female residents of Villa Park. We appreciate your time and support of us, and we wanted to mention that we have a few events coming up, including on June 23rd at the library. We're having a blood drive from 9 to 3. So if anybody can come and give blood or just stop by and say hi, that'd be greatly appreciated. So I'd like to present Megan Janopoulos and Kathleen Cicero. They are our scholarship winners, and I just want to say a few things about them and tell you why we thought that they were awesome candidates to receive our scholarship. Megan is going to the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design. The one thing that stood out for us, besides her phenomenal grade point average, which was over a 4.0 on a 4.0 scale, was that she gave a lot of service to a program called Destination Imagination. And that is a program that allows kids to explore a problem all on their own and create a solution for that. And she did a lot of service to that program, and we thought that was phenomenal because that is not an easy program to give service to. It's very challenging because you have to get little kids to work on their own and solve a problem, which, it's hard. So she's also receiving 4 scholarships, including the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design Presidential Scholarship, other than ours, of course. And we just thought that she was a great candidate, and we're happy to award her with the scholarship. And Kathleen Cicero is going to the University of Indianapolis. She has given a ton of service using her very good talent of her music. And she is a beautiful singer, and she has won, she's on a lot of the honor societies for music, but she's given of her time and talent to one of the local programs called St. Genesius, and she is again working with kids that are enrolled in the local Catholic schools, and they basically get together and they perform plays a couple times a year. So Kathleen has choreography, composition, working with the kids, getting them ready. Then the St. Genesius does musicals, so she has definitely given of her time and talent there. She too is getting 4 scholarships, and again with a great grade point average of over 4.0 on the 4.0 scale. She's gotten a high grade point average. She is receiving the University of Indianapolis's scholarship for musical talent and the Dean Scholarship. So she was again a great candidate for us. She stood out for us right away too. So appreciate the time to have her here too, and she's doing a great job.
Thank you, Jen, for that. And
Thank
I
you.
see the arts are well represented here
They
today.
well, and that
So-
was, and it's always good to get our scholarships. They do stand out to us. The arts are important to us, but most of all, their service is what we look for when we're trying to decide for the girls to get the scholarship. And they have put in a lot of hours, and it's a great accomplishment for high school kids that they are willing to give back to the community. So. Appreciate you letting
Well,
us
thanks
do
to
this.
Junior Women's Club for doing this and for what you do in
Yes.
Villa Park, and for finding some great candidates, and you did a nice job. Good job picking out some good ones. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The next item on our agenda is a presentation of the Sugar Creek Golf Course audit. Director Wachtel and Ed Tracy from Selden Fox are here to bring us through that.
Good evening. Ed Tracy from Selden Fox is here. He's going to provide a brief overview of the highlights of the Sugar Creek Golf Course audit for the year ended December 31st of 2017.
Thank you for having me here this evening. Part of our audit, we not only look at the financial numbers, but we look at the internal controls that are in place, and we test those controls, not necessarily to give an opinion on them, but to determine whether or not we can rely on them when we do the rest of our procedures. Our testing focuses on appropriate segregation of duties, ensures that the transactions are properly supported and there's proper supervision. And we did not have any exceptions in our testing. I wanted to bring that to your attention. So we found that the controls were in place and operating effectively. We did make 2 adjustments during our audit. One was for the IMRF's net pension liability. We made that because the information wasn't available at the time we started our field work. Those reports come out a little like in early April, and we were out there in March. And then we also capitalized some additional costs related to the construction of a new deck out at the golf course that were about $12,000. Our opinion on in our independent auditors report was an unmodified opinion. That's the highest form of assurance that we can give that the financial statements are fairly presented. Just a couple of the financial highlights for the year. Revenues were up about $50,000 from the prior year. Expenses were down about $22,000 from the prior year. Both tracking pretty closely to budget as well. Really not any significant variations from budget. There were about $125,000 in additions to capital assets, primarily land improvements related to, I think it was the parking lot, and some new equipment as well. Depreciation on existing assets was about $110,000. The operations also produced a positive cash flow of about $300,000, which was then used to pay not only to purchase the capital assets but also to pay down the debt. There was payments of combined payments to the village and to Elmhurst Park District of $195,000 on the existing debt certificates, as the regularly scheduled debt principal and interest payments on those were made with the golf course from the operating revenues of the golf course. The final item of note is there's with participating in IMRF, you record a net pension liability, and this is just based on the difference between the benefits earned to date that will be paid in the future and the assets on hand at IMRF to make those payments. And the employees of Sugar Creek are paid through the Elmhurst Park District, so a portion of their liability is allocated to Sugar Creek based on the proportion, like the employer contributions made on behalf of Sugar Creek employees as a percentage of the total employees for the Park District. It amounts to a little under 5% of the Park District liability. And last year that liability was about $150,000, and this year was down to about $13,000, primarily because investment performance has outpaced the assumptions used in determining the net pension liability. It's a whole actuarial calculation. But the overall the results, as I said, the liability is down to only about $13,000 this year. That'll fluctuate a little back and forth, and some of those changes kind of are kind of taken in over a few years, not all at once. But again, the liability is not really a significant liability overall, as the IMRF is a pretty well-funded plan, and the golf course has been making their required contributions to the plan. So. Again, overall strong year for the golf course. Revenues were at the highest they've been in at least the last 10 years based on the schedule in the back. So it's again, a very positive year overall for the golf course.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the board? Trustee Tucker.
Yeah, talking about the deferred outflow of revenue and the deferred inflow of reference on that pension. I noticed in 2016 we didn't have any net difference between the two, and 2017 it all of a sudden became very big and very noticeable. What happened between the spec?
It kind of relates back to the investment performance primarily, because what happens is the assumption, the actuaries, when they do the calculation of the liability, they make an assumption that the investment return will be 7.5%. This past year, the investment return far exceeded the 7.5%. So that difference affects what the pension liability is, but it's not taken in. That difference isn't taken into expense all at once. It's taken into expense over a period of time, 3 to 5 years typically. And to the extent that it hasn't been taken in against the expense in the current year, it's in that deferred inflows and deferred outflows. So the difference in because the investment results, actual results were significantly different than the projected results, you had this deferred inflow. You have this benefit that will be reducing future pension expense in the financial statements over the next few years. And then there were some assumption changes made as part of the valuation that also had a lesser effect, but also had a bit of effect. And again, these changes don't all get taken into the expense in the year that they take place. They get taken in over, like I said, a 3 to 5 year period.
Well, so that's why all of a sudden in 2017 it showed up being such a big difference than previous years.
Right. Previous
Okay.
years, the
Because
performance
it just
matched
kinda
closer
caught
to
up. It was
the.
just like-
There's less of variation between the actual performance and the expectations in previous years. So, to the extent there's those differences, that's where the deferred inflows and outflows pop up in a given year. And so this in 2017 there was a much more of a difference with the assumptions, and actually the actual results exceeded the assumptions.
So that's why it looked like it was such a huge difference. Okay.
Yeah.
Trustee Wagner.
How many full-time employees work at the golf course?
I don't know.
Just a handful. I don't know the exact number. I want to say like
Three full-time?
I was going to say like 3 to.
Director Gola is holding up 3 fingers.
That's what I was going to say. 3 or 4.
Okay, that's all I had.
Anybody else? It's nice to see that the golf course is profitable, so appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
After what we had in the past, this is very nice.
Yes.
Okay, number 7 is the consent agenda, which are the minutes from the village board meeting on May 21st, 2018, and the bill listings for the weeks of May 21st, May 28th, and June 4th, for a total amount of $1,695,125.59. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda? Trustee Kazone?
Mr. President, I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second? Trustee L?
Second.
Okay, any questions, comments? None? Roll call vote?
Okay, Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes. Item number 8, first reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, reducing the number of Class I liquor license. That's the one that was held by Outback Steakhouse. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Outback Steakhouse, previously located at 128 East Roosevelt Road, closed for business in early March 2018. Pursuant to Section 3-320 of the Villa Park Municipal Code, the liquor license assigned to that business has been forfeited and needs to be removed from the liquor licenses that are issued and now available in the village. Removal of this license will decrease the number of Class I liquor licenses from 9 to 8. It is recommended that Section 3-313A of the Village Code be modified to reflect this decrease. Thank you, Your Honor.
This is just a first reading for a code change, so there's no motion necessary, but we are open for discussion. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item number 9. Second reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving the C-MAP zoning ordinance and official map. We had a discussion on this at our last board meeting. Basically, what we're doing here is updating our village zoning codes, zoning map, which goes back to 1970, making some changes in that, doing better explanations and diagrams of what we're looking for in the different properties that are covered by the code. So with that, I'll entertain a motion for the second reading.
President
Trustee
Bolfus,
Wagner?
I'd like to make that motion.
Do we have a second? Trustee Case?
I'll make the second.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Tucker?
I have one question. As we were going through this, if we approve this, is there going to be any problems with businesses or residencies at the moment on these changes? Is there anything on the books that is going to cause difficulty with any of the businesses or something to change with the new zoning?
Director Grill is going to address that. Thank you.
Yes, the code will not affect any existing businesses as they currently operate. This will only affect development going forward from this date.
Okay, so right now we're in good shape with all
Correct.
the businesses, okay.
So they're sort of grandfathered in, so. Anyone else? Trustee Ayello?
I just want to comment. I've had that issue come up in odd situations where someone's place of business or home burned down, and the off chance that that location was in an area that got rezoned, they would have to comply potentially with the updated zoning.
That's what I understand, yes. Anyone else? Okay, with that, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes. Item 10, ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, granting a special use for the expansion of an existing church at 5 North Princeton Avenue. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The petitioner is seeking approval of a special use to expand an existing church at the northeast corner of Princeton Avenue and St. Charles Road. At the public hearing held on May 10th, 2018, in which no objectors appeared, the Zoning and Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the request. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have a motion for the ordinance? Trustee Stone?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Trustee Ciela? Okay. Any questions or comments from the board?
I do have a question.
Trustee Tucker?
I know this only has to do with the specific uses, but is that church doing something about the flooding issue, or is that in some other planning thing in the principle of it?
Director Grill? I'm not aware. Are there any flooding issues?
I'm not aware of any specific flooding issues that were created by this church, but obviously as part of the addition, all the engineering will have to meet standard, particularly the stormwater management ordinance.
It's mainly their parking lot and areas west of it. I think there's a little flooding issues, but I think they have to handle it with the building codes or whatever it is. Is that correct? Okay.
That's correct.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Salala?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes. So, very good. Thank you for coming with your plan. Appreciate it. Okay. Item 11, ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving the First Amendment and extension to the contract for garbage, brush, landscape waste, and recycling material collection services with Roy Strom Refuge Removal Services. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Adam. The refuge contract between the Village of Villa Park and Roy Strom is up for renewal on June 30th, 2018. The village has renegotiated a new 5-year contract commencing on July 1st, 2018 and terminating on June 30th, 2023, with a renewal option being granted for an additional 5 years at the sole discretion of the village. Two key features of the new 5-year contract extension include an annual confidential paper shredding event and an annual electronics waste recycling credit of $10,000. Staff recommends that the village president and board of trustees approve an ordinance renewing the contract between the village and Roy Strom, Inc. and updating the village code to reflect the contract's collection and disposal rates. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do we have a motion for the ordinance?
President Bolfus,
Trustee Wagner?
I'd like to make that motion.
Do we have a second? Trustee Allo?
Second.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Wagner?
During this current contract period, we initiated a subsidy for recyclables. And I just wanted to know, maybe George Strom had some opinion. Do you think the market for recyclables has stabilized? Is it going down the tubes, or what's your opinion on that?
Please introduce yourself for the people at home that are watching.
My name is George Strom. I'm Vice President of Roy Strom Company. To answer your question in regards to the recycling commodities market, currently there is the specific commodities that a residential recycling program puts out is the rate per month has actually been going down, so it has not stabilized. It's consistently month after month the return has gotten more and more negative. I would answer it that way. Mainly to do with China has no longer accepted exports from the United States. They recently had a 1-month ban on all scrap materials from the United States, so we just are seeing a lot of stockpiling of our material at a lot of the recycling facilities around the United States, basically waiting for those markets to open up or finding new markets that are able to absorb that overflow that China has basically currently cut off. So we haven't seen a floor yet, I would put it that way as the answer.
Anything else, Trustee?
No, just a comment that I think Roy Strom provides great service. I know just kind of a couple instances they've helped out with our pumpkin composting. They provided a dumpster for that, and I know you provided a dumpster for Love Your Neighbor Day, so I'm very appreciative of that. And so I think they give great service, and that's all I have.
Trustee Tucker?
I have two questions. The white goods and the waste tires, is that residency or is that basically commercial that those take into effect, those pricing on there? How many people throw away refrigerators and stuff?
Very
Okay.
few. I mean, the white
Just like-
goods is almost maybe a handful a year, in all honesty, and then the
Okay.
tires are very seldom. But one thing that I would note, speaking towards recycling, the two additions to the agreement, the confidential paper shredding, all that paper shredding gets recycled, and that is still a good market for, clean paper. And then also the electronics recycling, that's a great way to divert material from, possibility of it getting into a landfill. And those materials are very much in demand in regards to, the gold and the good items on the processors, inside a computer, things like that. So that is a positive that is going on.
Bringing back to that, isn't that a special pickup for all that white good stuff or no?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
And those
And the
rates will
tires
remain-
would be a
Correct,
special line,
correct.
right? Okay.
Mhm.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes. Item 12, ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a license agreement between the Village of Villa Park and J. Dev Brewing Incorporated, garbage enclosure. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village has constructed an enclosure upon the village's property located east of the Great Western Trail train depot and adjacent to 320 East Kenilworth Avenue. The property owner at 126 South Villa, also known as Moore Brewing Company, wishes to maintain the garbage enclosure for the storage of garbage and other waste material generated by the business. Use of the garbage enclosure will create better traffic flow to the area and greatly improve the aesthetics of the village's newly established entertainment space. The property owner will assume all future maintenance of the garbage enclosure, and the license agreement is revocable. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have a motion for the ordinance? Trustee Wagner?
I'd like to make that motion.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Cielo? Okay. Questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Ayello?
No.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes. Item 13 is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving an intergovernmental police assistance agreement to join the Felony Investigation Assistance Team in the annual amount of $3,500. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. FIAT is a law enforcement task force specializing in major crime investigations, computer forensics, major crash reconstructions, canine response, and special weapons and tactics response, also known as SWAT. FIAT is comprised of members from 15 agencies from DuPage County that share specialized resources to respond to and investigate felony offenses, conduct surveillance operations, respond to high-risk critical incidents such as hostage situations and high-risk search warrants, investigate and reconstruct fatal and potentially fatal crashes, canine tracking, area and drug seizures, and evidence collection for electronic storage devices and cell phones. Participation in this organization will allow the village access to several officers that will be able to respond to and assist our agency in the event of a major incident without depleting all of our personnel resources. Membership fees for agencies and FIAT are $3,500 annually. This amount has been budgeted in the stub year 18 account number 10-520-08299. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Kazone?
Mr. President, I'll make that motion.
Do you have a second? Trustee Wagner?
I'll second that motion.
Any questions or comments? Trustee Kazone?
Just a quick question. This Fiat was established in 1976. Have we looked into joining this previously, or like what's the reason for joining at this time?
Chief Lay is ready to answer all the questions we have.
Good evening. I'm not aware of our agency joining Fiat in the past. It's something that came up in some other discussions I've been in recently, and there's more and more agencies within DuPage County that are joining Fiat for this purpose of sharing resources.
Okay. That's the only question I have.
Are we ever going to get another canine, or?
We don't have any discussions on that right now.
Okay.
Anyone else? Trustee Tucker?
I left my notes at home, so I'm doing this offhand. This is an independent organization, right? It's not, from the sound of it, it's not our police officers forming from, or the 15 agencies providing an officer to this thing. This is an independent organization, correct?
It's an organization comprised of police officers from any of the agencies that are part of the organization. So
Okay, so are we supplying an officer to Fiat?
we will
Or
have
is-
one or two officers that will be assigned to Fiat as well, yes.
Okay, so they are being part of Fiat then? Okay, and the executive board, is that voted on by the agencies involved? Is that how they get elected in, or?
Yes, the executive board is comprised of a chairman who is Chief Anderson from the Lisle Police Department, along with a vice chairman who is the commander from Darien, and then there's 3 other board members who are from other police agencies that are within the organization.
So the agencies are the ones that vote on the members of the board or whatever
Yes.
it is? Okay. The last question I have, I hope, if I remember right, my understanding is that our agency has the property of coordinating with other things. Does this agency actually would take over some issues off our hands, like if an issue came up, and would take over that problem and finish to completion, or are they just assisting our village on that issue?
They are an assistance team and will assist us in our investigation with whatever resources we need for that investigation.
So they're more of a resource thing. They're not actually going to come in and do the job for our police
They
department.
will assist us. For example, the K-9 unit, there's 8 or 9 K-9 officers that are assigned to the Fiat investigative team. With one phone call, I can get a dog or dogs to whatever incident that we have, whereas now we have to rely on the dispatcher calling around to several different towns to see if there is even one available. By joining Fiat, I can guarantee that there's a dog available.
Okay, so it's more of a resource type thing to extend what we have.
Exactly.
Because my understanding is that it just adds on to what we already have and gives us more reference or use of all the surrounding areas that way. Instead of
Correct.
asking for cooperation, this agency will provide it for us automatically.
Exactly.
Okay.
Sid? That's it. Anyone else? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes. Item 14 is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving an amended mutual aid agreement for Northern Illinois Police Alarm System in the annual amount of $6,205. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. NIPUS represents a joint venture of suburban municipal police departments in the Chicago metropolitan area. NIPUS includes law enforcement from over 100 cities, villages, and towns in 5 counties. NIPUS consists of a special tactical squad known as the Emergency Service Team and a special crowd control team known as the Mobile Field Force. The Emergency Services Team assists with hostage, barricade incidents, high-risk warrant services, search and rescue missions, and similar tactical incidents. The Mobile Field Force assists with civil disturbances, union conflicts, public demonstrations, and other events involving large or disorderly crowds. In addition to officers with specialized training, NIPUS has specialized equipment that includes a fully equipped mobile command post, an armored rescue vehicle, an equipment transport vehicle, along with other specialized equipment. NIPUS has assisted the Village of Villa Park Police Department with several major incidents since joining in 2006. Membership fees for agencies in NIPUS are $6,205 annually. This amount has been budgeted in the stub year 2018 budget. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes. Do you have a motion for the resolution?
President Bolfus, I'd like to
Trustee
make that
Wagner?
motion.
Okay. Do we have a second? Trustee Aiello? Second. Any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Tucker.
Just one. I want to know the difference between FIAP and the agency, why we need both, because I know that's going to come up.
So we've been a member of NIPUS since 2006. NIPUS is a organization that helps with very large scale events. They will do smaller ones as well, but they have a very large SWAT team. They do not do the other investigations. They don't have the dogs that we can call on. They don't have the computer forensics that we can call on. And then they also have the added benefit of the mobile field force, which they're 2 separate units and they train separately, but then they train together as well. So if there is a mass demonstration or something went very wrong up at the Odeon when there's a large crowd there, we can call and have several officers here in a very short amount of time to help us out in controlling that crowd.
So one's more crowd control or disaster type issue, where the other one's more,
Well, there's two components to NIFAS, which is the crowd control, and then there's the major SWAT team.
Okay.
It's a bigger group, the 50,
Much bigger.
5 counties, right? 5 counties.
Yeah, over 100 agencies.
Yeah, so it's many more personnel and more specialties you can draw on.
Correct.
Anyone else have a question? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Silella?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes.
Okay.
Item 15 is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a contract with Globe Construction Incorporated for the 2018 concrete flatwork program in the amount not to exceed $74,993.38. I read that with the larger amount. If the board wants to change that, we can amend that motion when we get to that point. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Staff proposed a replacement of substandard public sidewalk at various locations throughout the village as part of the 2018 concrete flatwork program. Staff requested 2 proposals from Globe Construction, with one for $74,993.38 and the other for $49,977.97. The higher proposal would allow the village to complete additional sidewalk replacement under this program and reduce the number of projects on the waiting list if the board desires. Staff recommends approving a contract with Globe Construction for the 2018 concrete flatwork program in an amount not to exceed $74,993.38. There is $50,000 budgeted for sidewalk replacement in the Capital Projects Fund for stub year 2018, Your Honor. Thank you.
Do you have a motion for the resolution?
President Bolfus, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay. Trustee Aiello is second. Okay.
That's for the larger amount.
That's for the larger amount, yes. Any questions or comments from the board? So, okay, Trustee Case.
What kind of demand is there for the backup for the sidewalks?
Director Jaskelis has all that information. He's
Right down to the number,
right down to the numbers.
Okay, we currently have 136 locations on our waiting list. With the proposed amount, we would be able to service approximately 49 of those addresses. So if you take 49 from 130, so that would leave us around 80-something still on the waiting list for the future. Now, not everybody participates every year, so some of the waiting lists is carryover. Sometimes people don't have the money when the time comes, so we carry them over to the next year until, you know, they decide to either participate or ask to be removed from the list.
Anything else, Dan?
No, not right now.
Trustee Kazone?
Do we contact people that are on the list that they're not going to be on it this year, and if they want to carry over, or is it like if you don't get a call, you just assume you're carried over till next year?
Well, we send out, once the contract's awarded, we will send out letters to the top of the list based on our estimates of how much that money will carry us. We give them so much amount of time to make the payment. Typically, some people don't, and we carry them over, and then we send out additional letters till we fill the quota for that year. And then, yes, we then just carry the names over to the next year, unless they ask to be removed from the list. But generally, residents know they stay on the list until they either are done or asked to be removed.
But you don't contact the people that didn't make it this year?
No.
Yeah,
no.
okay.
Trustee Case?
How does it work when there's a street program going on? Is that through the sidewalk program, or can it be, the residents be notified if you want your sidewalks done by the street programs torn up?
Typically, with the street program, we only do the intersections, and we only replace sidewalks that are disturbed due to construction. We do not currently include sidewalks in the road programs. Now, that may change in the future, but currently, sidewalk program is totally separate.
But if we had the street torn up and people wanted to have their sidewalks done, could that be added on to that, or?
We have not done it that way in the past. We may do something like that going forward.
Okay.
Anyone else? Trustee Aiello?
Just a comment, the road referendum, the way we wrote it, it's my recollection anyway, would prohibit us from using that money, the referendum money.
Well, it's
sidewalks,
spirit,
to the extent
correct.
it's not construction related.
Right. So we've only been using road referendum money for ADA improvements, which are required when you do a road project, and anything you disturb due to the construction.
Anyone else? Trustee Tucker?
Seeing we are only covering, what, 49 that's on that list? How many years are they being rolled over?
Well, right now, if we wanted to catch up totally, we would have to award a contract of approximately $200,000 and then up the annual amount to about $60,000 to $70,000 per year to maintain that. So we're not going to catch up in 1 year.
How many years has somebody been on that sidewalk referendum is my question. Do they usually
I'd have
get
to
done
look
in
at
a
that,
year or 2 years, or?
I'm sure there's been some that have been there more than 2 years, but again, some of those are because they did not have the money when they came up, not necessarily because it's taking that long to get. We get to about 2 to 3 requests to be added a week, so it is an ongoing thing.
And you said you have 136 on the list right now?
Current list, yes.
Current list, and that we're going to be able to cover 49 with the increase that if we vote the amount?
Approximately, because we don't know till we send out the notices how many squares they're going to want to be done. Some only want 1 or 2, some want everything done. So there's a lot of variability every year depending on how much people want to have done. So
For
we
the
really don't know
amount,
the final
okay.
quantity to still get the payments back.
Trustee Allen?
What time frame are we looking at to know the answer to that question?
Typically, we give them 30 days to pay, and then we start the contractor going. There's a few stragglers all the time. But we try and get it within 30 days.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Being none, roll call vote.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Silella?
Yes.
President Bolkus?
Yes. Item 16 is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, accepting a Phase 3 engineering agreement with Clark Dietz for the grant funded Second Avenue Sewer Separation and Street Improvement Project in the amount not to exceed $76,717.46. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village expects to receive approval of the final plans and specifications from DuPage County for the Second Avenue Combined Sewer Separation Project in the next few months. Clark Dietz, Inc. has submitted a proposal to provide Phase 3 construction engineering services to the village at a cost not to exceed $76,717.46. The construction improvements, which include combined sewer separation and roadway reconstruction, are funded through a community development block grant disaster recovery, with the village responsible for engineering costs. Funding sources for the project include a street improvement fund, referendum, and wastewater fund combined sewer separation account. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Kazone?
Yeah, I'll make that motion, Mr. President.
Trustee Case?
Second.
Questions or comments from the board? Trustee Tucker?
My question is, if we approve this, this is not happening this year, correct? 2018? Or is it happening? Because the people on Second Avenue want to know, is this happening this year?
The way I read this, we're approving this, we don't have the grant money yet.
We don't have the grant money, right?
So this is, have we received the approval for the grant money?
I believe that grant is already, this is for Phase 3 engineering. So
Right.
This is construction engineering, not design.
Right.
This is construction
Design
oversight.
is nearly completed. We're ready to bid this project.
That's what I thought.
Okay, so you are ready to bid it, so it's
This would
possible it will be
This would be a
done,
summer, fall project.
this is possible it will be done this year.
That's our intent.
Okay, thank you.
So we received the okay for the grant money?
I believe we have.
We did? Okay.
We went back for more, I believe, Your Honor.
I thought so too, yeah, but I didn't think the first approval had come through yet. Okay. So we're good to go.
Okay, that's what I want to know, because they want to know why there's streets a
Anyone
mess.
else? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Silella?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
President Bolkus?
Yes. Item 17 is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving the purchase of a Microsoft Office and SQL upgrade for the village computers in the amount not to exceed $47,344.50. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Staff computers are currently operating on the 2010 version of Microsoft Office. This version is no longer supported by Microsoft security upgrades, and the village must upgrade to the 2016 version of Microsoft Office. Additionally, the village's finance and water billing database called Cassell is due for an upgrade to improve functionality. In order to support this software upgrade, our Microsoft database, called SQL, must also be upgraded to a compatible version. Cassell's upgrade will allow the finance department to add modules to the program, which will in turn increase operational efficiency. These one-time purchases have been budgeted in Information Technology Equipment Maintenance Fund on stub year 2018 for a total amount not to exceed $47,344.50. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do we have a motion for a resolution? Trustee Wagner?
I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, Trustee Gallo?
Second.
Do you have any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes. Item 18 is appointment to boards and commission to Police Pension Board, trustee Chris Aiello, for a term of 6/11/18 through 4/30 of 20. This is just for discussion only. From what I learned in the last couple of days, this is just an appointment, does not require a vote by the board members. So if any, but we will allow any questions, comments anybody wants to make. Trustee Wagner.
So, I mean, aren't all boards and commissions appointments? I mean, they're appointed with the advice and consent of the village board.
Attorney Orr researched that. She has some information.
Yes, I did. In 2006, the pension board provisions, both police and fire, were amended to require appointment strictly by the president without the advice and consent of the board. That has also been, and it was noted in 06, even though I wasn't here, it's in our code book also. Our code book mandates just with the appointment by the president. Prior to 2006, the membership of the board was ordained by statute. It was the president of the village, it was the village clerk, the village attorney, there were 2 appointed members, there were 2 retirees, so it was a total of 7. So initially it was mandated as to what members of both the village board and the police and fire departments were on. It was amended in 2006 just to mandate 2 members elected biannually by the police department or the fire department, 1 retiree on each one of them, and 2 as appointed just by the president, period, without the advice and consent.
Yes.
And my concern is, and I did speak with Trustee Aiello, because I didn't want him to think that I had any reservations about him serving on the commission, but my concern is that what I've been told in the past is that trustees serving as voting members of boards and commissions is a conflict of interest, because there's an opportunity for things to go wrong. So that's why I raised the question, not to put a fly in the ointment, but just to raise that question. So you're saying that the law changed?
Right, in 2006, so that it's appointment by the board. There's case law that says there is no conflict for either the president or the trustee, because prior to 2006, it was actual members of the board. There's several other changes that were made to explain why this is the exception, and that is as follows. Number 1, the mandated amount to be levied. There's nothing that comes before this board because the pension boards are autonomous. The only thing that comes before this board, as you know, is the annual levy. We have to apply their actuarial amount mandated by the pension funds. We must approve it. Well, in 2016, that was changed also. And if this board, or any other municipal board, does not properly fund police or fire to the extent mandated by the actuarial study, either the police department or the fire department has the right to certify to the state controller, who then will take the short flow from, if you didn't levy the exact amount mandated by the actuarial report, and take it out of the next state funds that you get. So that when it comes to the pension boards, the flexibility of this board is non-existent. So there's nothing that you do like other commissions at this level that isn't, doesn't have a stopgap or a safeguard. Very different.
But that pension board does approve people to be put on the pension.
It absolutely does, and in that instance, any member of the pension board, whether they be a trustee or not, could be in conflict, because it could be your neighbor, your best friend's son or daughter. So that conflict still is always there for whomever serves on any of the pension boards. And you're right, that will always be there no matter who it is, and not by the virtue of their role.
Would you be able to send me the
I would
reference?
be delighted to send you the law, the changes. I will share it all with you, because I think they're good questions.
Okay. That's all I have. I appreciate the answer.
I have one question.
Yes.
Too. On the money aspect of it, is that sort of set already by the state, or
It's state
do
law.
we?
It's
state
state
law.
law.
So a member from here couldn't all of a sudden say, "Oh no, I want this amount to be put
Oh,
in
yeah, they
that budget."
could. They could. And then what would happen is either of the departments write to the state controller and say, that board shorted our fund because the actuarial report said we needed funding of X, and they gave us X minus 10. So the minus 10 would be funded by the state from any other funds we would, as a village, otherwise receive.
I'm asking in the other direction.
You could always do more. You could always do
affect
more.
it,
You could always
could they
do
all of
more.
a sudden decide that, okay, now my buddy's on the pension, I want to throw more
You
money
can always
in
do more.
towards it?
Yes, you can always
Can
do
that
more.
that
You can always
happen?
do more.
Okay. So it could actually happen.
But that's
you say.
voluntary, right.
That's voluntary, and it
Right.
could happen anyway. It didn't matter who it is. That's by judgment too on deciding it. And we would have no control over it, correct? On the amount?
You would control anything over the actuarially mandated annual contribution.
Okay.
Yes, Trustee Wainwright.
Among the two, I'll call them civilian members of the 5-member pension board, how many vacancies are there? Is it just one vacancy?
That's correct.
Just one vacancy, okay.
It's a very hard position to fill.
All right. That's all I had. I'd appreciate getting the reference in the law.
Most certainly.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. With that, we'll move on to, anybody else have a question for us down here? Move on to item 19, public comments on non-agenda items. Clerk Kornecki, did anyone sign up beforehand?
I had no one signed up. I think somebody came up
Right.
afterwards.
So if anybody else said, John, please state your name for the record and your address.
Thank you, President Baltus and Board. John Devens, 1505 South Euclid. I just had a couple questions regarding how far along is the Thornton's annexation in the IGA with OBT?
You want me to answer it, or you want, we both know the answer. You want to? We'll let the manager do it. He makes the big bucks.
Quite frankly, it's not very far along. So it's kind of stalled out. It's been stalled out for months.
Oh,
Forever,
years.
since last year.
Been over a year.
And so they're trying to work towards rectifying that, but in the last months it hasn't. It's still stalled.
The de-annexation agreement between Thornton's and the Village of Oakwood Terrace has been dragging out. So there's been nothing for the Village of Villa Park to act on.
Thank you very much. One other question, pardon me, is this going to be a planned development or a rezoning?
The petitioner hasn't come in with a request yet on what it will be. So until they may they get control of the property and in Villa Park, they haven't had a reason to come to us.
I know I only have 3 minutes, and I'm going to keep it less than that.
You're being timed, so keep going.
You got a minute, almost two.
It was rather fortuitous. My wife Rose and I, literally our first vacation day in 2 years, we were in Milwaukee having lunch, and my son Tony texted me and said, "Look what's going on." And there were trees coming down by the dozens. Luckily, we were able to get in touch with our attorney as well as Drew Zazowski from Thornton's and said, "Oh, please wait." They did. They held off on a huge bay of trees. Again, that site, and I had the fortune to say hi to Manager Keener the other day. We're super happy all that crap is gone. We're very happy. I understand it eventually will happen. I simply look at each and every one of you to work mutually beneficial with me and the neighbors of South Euclid to get it right. To get it right when that development goes in, so that it's a healthy, happy, safe area to live. That I sincerely ask that, because it is something that, you know, again, I have 4 kids. It is my investment. I look good for an 83-year-old man. But I thank you, and I just ask that you please do continue to consider that, you know, we're super cool with if they stay in that commercial zone, but if we could just keep that residential, that R1 property as is, they will have a monster footprint. I thank you.
Well, as you know, you'll have an opportunity when we actually get the plans, it becomes before the Planning and Zoning Commission, you'll be notified when that time comes. And up till now, I think Thornton's has been very cooperative and willing to listen and
Drew
responsive.
came by at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
He literally did, and we were super happy with that. We really are, and we appreciate their transparency.
Okay. We'll keep
Thank
that
you.
in mind. Thank you. Anyone else who wants to say anything? No? Okay. All right, we'll move on down to the village clerk's report.
Okay, just an announcement that Wednesday, the 13th, SALT has a meeting at the Community Recreation Building at 11 a.m. And the Senior Concerns Commission will be providing a lunch at noon.
Okay.
And that's it.
Thank you. We'll go to trustees' report. We'll move to the right here. Trustee Cielo.
No report this evening.
Trustee Kazone.
I've just got one thing. Some more good news with Willowbrook High School. The Willowbrook boys basketball team head coach Chris Perkins was recently named the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association Class 4A District 7 Coach of the Year. Willowbrook's team went 26-6, and they made the finals and the sectionals for the first time, I think, ever. So congratulations to Chris. He's a great guy, Willowbrook grad, and he's done a great job over there. So congratulations to Chris.
Thank you. Trustee Case.
Yeah, I'll ask Manager Keener. As one of our staff members recently went to a class on the grass clippings from some of these landscapers blowing it out in the street, how bad it is getting into our sewers.
I see there were some tickets that were issued. So, go.
Quite honestly, I don't know if they went to a class, but we've issued some citations and talked to some property owners.
Okay. Just to find out the details, how bad it does affect our sewers.
And I know that, Your Honor, if I may.
Sure.
I know that the PIO often sends out Facebook and email blasts to clear the inlets and don't blow the yard waste into the street. I've seen many posts from our PIO additionally.
Anything else, Dan?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Trustee Yellow.
Nothing today, thanks.
Trustee Tucker.
I'd like to invite people of the village to bring up that the Park and Rec meeting is tomorrow night at 7 at Iowa Center, and you're always welcome to come if you have, now that the parks are all up and running, if you have an incident or something that we need to be aware of that we, as a board, don't know of, please bring it up, because they're always willing to listen and find and help you get those parks up and running. They want them as beautiful as possible. So if you have an instance on that, please stop by and let us know. I'd also like to remind everybody that Summerfest is in effect this weekend. Friday night there will be a car show and some bands and lots of good food. So if, and hopefully the rain will stay off this year. We're hoping.
Long range forecast is good.
Long range is good for it. So come join us then. And then, of course, Friday night's supposed to be date night, so it's basically adults. And then Saturday, of course, is open to the kids to come and enjoy, and parents come along. And it leads into 10:30 at night. So after you tuck the kids in, you come back and enjoy the bands on Saturday night. I've also like to compliment the Willowbrook baseball team. They made it to sectionals. I was kind of disappointed they didn't make it out of it. I was hoping, but congratulations to them that they did make it through sectionals. And the website, if you want to check them for more information, is villaparksummerfest.com. So if there's more information you need on the Summerfest, please check that website. Everything's there. Come on out and enjoy it. It's a good time on Ardmore and Park Avenue. So that's cool.
Trustee Wagner.
Thank you, President Poltis. Just want to remind folks that the Traffic and Safety Commission meets here at Village Hall tomorrow at 8 p.m. And also would like to just let folks know about the Love Your Neighbor Day, which is going to occur on Saturday, September 22nd. They're looking for volunteers, and they're looking for folks who need help maintaining their property, etc. So you can go to, you can download applications at www.ccvponline.net. And it's a great service that those churches provide.
That's the Christian Church of Villa Park?
Christian Church of Villa Park, right. But there's other churches that join in with that.
They're the coordinators, right?
They're the coordinator. Just want to let folks know that the VFW is starting what they call Give Back Thursdays. If you on Thursday, if you have a meal at the VFW between 5:30 and 7:30, $1 from that money you spend goes towards the support for disabled veterans at Heinz VA. So a great cause there to and a good opportunity to go have a good meal. So, and lastly, I got this edition of the Whistle Stop, which is produced by the Villa Park Historical Society, and there's a great story in here about how the community rallied together to acquire the 2 train stations that's currently in the museum and currently the Chamber of Commerce. And it was just it was kind of a long, arduous process, but the story is very good. Talks about all the the hard work that people put in just to acquire those two buildings. So I'd recommend folks to become a member and read that article. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. I just have a couple items tonight. First off, on last Wednesday, myself, Manager Keener, Director Gola, and Trustee Tucker were able to attend NESRUS. That's a special recreation area committee or group that we belong to for their year-end banquet called Reach for the Stars?
Yes.
Reach for the Stars, right. It's a wonderful opportunity to see where our money goes to help people in Villa Park and neighboring communities who have special needs, all ages. They also have a program for veterans there, which is becoming more popular all on. And it's just a very heartwarming thing to see the joy on the faces of the participants of NESRA, and knowing that us as residents of Villa Park are a part of that. So in the future, any other board members who would like to attend that dinner, it's well worth the very good experience. The other thing I have is, if any of you are like I am, I have some half-full gallons of paint in my basement. And what do you do with them? Because Roy Strom's not going to pick them up because he's not allowed to. Starting on June 25th through August 4th, DuPage County is having a latex paint. Now, this is for latex paint only, not oil-based, recycling program at the Woodridge Green Valley Wastewater Treatment Facility at 7900 South Route 83 in Woodridge. And they'll take your paint. It has to be never been frozen. It has to be less than 10 years old. Because what they do, they take it and they put it all together and then they sell it, and then for a fee. But for you to bring it there, it's for free. It begins on the 25th of June, and they're open from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Saturday, except for the 4th of July. So if you got that used paint, I think I got about 10 cans in my basement that are partly full. Roy Strom's, if I remember right, they will take it if the lids are off and it's dry. You put kitty litter in there, but it has to be dry. My neighbor a couple weeks ago put some paint cans out, but you didn't have the lids off, and they stayed right there at the curb. So, but this is a good place to bring your paint, and then so it's free, but they do resell it. You can buy it. I think it's like $23 a gallon. So, and that's all I have. And with that, we'll move on to the manager's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just have a couple of items. And one item is, again, Summerfest, Friday and Saturday. Look to seeing a lot of folks there. Hopefully the rain holds off. And that's really about it, Your Honor.
Okay, good. And we'll move on to the item number 24, which is executive session, which is 5 ILCS 120/2C1 personnel matters, C2, which is collective bargaining matters, C5, which is purchase or lease of property, C6 is sale or lease of property, C11 is pending litigation, and C21 discussion on closed session minutes. We have a motion for executive session. Trustee Wagner?
I'd like to make that motion.
Trustee Yellow?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll go into executive session, and we will not be coming back. We'll adjourn from executive session. See you in 2 weeks, Villa Park.